Hello, and my name is Debo. This is another guide from a Taint's perspective for Alexander Turn 2, The Arm of the Father. Two things are noteworthy at the beginning of this fight. The circular platform in which you fight the boss on, the A marker which will be outside just the middle of that platform, and at any time if your character steps within the electricity outside of the platform, you will receive 3 debuffs. One which slows, one that does damage over time, and one that does paralyze. Just make sure that you don't get knocked into this, or anybody in your party does too, and you'll be on a way to starting off on the right foot. During the first phase of fighting the living liquid, he will do 3 primary attacks. One of the attacks is a splash attack that does AoE-wide damage to the entire raid. This simply just needs to be healed through. The second attack, called Protein Wave, is an AoE damage ability that's placed upon the floor, in which if you're caught within the lines of it, it will knock you back into the lightning. Simply just avoid this and you should have no problems. The third and last attack for this phase, called Slew Ice, which he will stand in front of everybody channeling a spell cast, and at the end of the spell cast, he will basically place AoE circles on the floor of whoever he marked, and those simply just need to be avoided. After the first initial set of attacks, you should have enough DPS to push him into the second phase. Inside the second phase, he'll become a giant hand. It is required that both the main tank and the off tank be in front of this giant hand due to massive AoE cleaving damage that needs to be split between both targets. One thing you need to notice as well is that during the hand phase he will cast an ability called Wash Away. You need to simply run into the middle of the room or use an ability that prevents you from being knocked back, otherwise you will be knocked back into the lightning. After a certain amount of damage has been done to the hand, it will split into 2 lesser hands. During this phase, simply, the main tank and the off tank need to split these adds up and tank them facing away from raid. That's all you need to do. After the hand phase is completed, the tornado phase begins. The main thing you want to do is assign one tank that's going to pick off tethers and then basically drop them off to A. Or, if another player does get a tether, if they're made aware of it, they can simply run over to A to drop the tether off onto the tank. After this tether is dropped off into the tank, make sure everybody stays clear, because after a momentary of the tank holding the tether, it will explode for massive AoE damage that will kill anybody that's pretty much not a tank who is close to him. The next mechanic is the positive-negative tether mechanic. If both players share the same symbol, or the same mark, which means they both have positive, they both have negative, they simply need to stack up. If one has positive, one has negative, then they need to basically split as far away as possible across the field of battle. That's all you really have to do. If you don't perform this task, you will incur a massive debuff that you do not want to have. The last mechanic to worry about, of course, is most definitely the adds. However, if you're a tank, this is not necessarily going to be your main job. If you're the tank that's picking up the tethers, that is your #1 priority, and the one free tank can go around shield bashing, stunning the targets, or whatever the stun that they have, and helping the DPS take care of the adds. The piston lubricant needs to be taken down first. That is the major priority. Those are the bigger size little monsters. If they get off the edge and you don't DPS them down, it will give the whole entire raid an AoE damage vulnerability. If the smaller ones get off the platform, it's not too much big of a deal. You'll take AoE wide damage, but you don't get any vulnerability ups. The main reason why you do not want to let the pistons get off and get the invulnerability up, because then you will not be able to really successfully survive the splash attack that he starts when he resumes back into the normal phase. So just make sure you're aware of the pistons, you DPS them down, their first priority, and then the whole entire fight resumes the same mechanics in the same order of everything that happens until the boss gets down to his final phase. The final phase will begin with the ability called Cascade, in which he will channel the ability, it will go off, do massive AoE damage to everybody inside the group, and place 3 circles of water on the floor that need to be avoided at all costs. He's going to basically be doing the same mechanics he has from the first phase and the third phase. The only mechanic that he will be bringing from the third phase is a positive-negative tether mechanic. So as long as you remember what you're supposed to do in those certain instances and you know how to handle those mechanics, this fight will be very easy. Outside of that, there is one final thing you have to be noteworthy about, and this applies to the tanks. He will start putting a vulnerability debuff on the tank at 5 stacks. The tanks need to tank swap, and then just do that until, you know, the other tank gets about 5 stacks so everything will fade off, and that's pretty much about it. As long as you can nail your mechanics, you do the proper tank swaps, and no one takes unnecessary damage, you should have no problems clearing this encounter. Congratulations, and as always, I appreciate you guys watching this video, and look forward to all my future Alexander guides that are coming out.
You fail the test, ever forging all new fallacies, creating a mess direct. Through this brick machine with all of the rest, DC dying.